My name is Sarashan Hori. We'll start with the headlines. The issue of surrogacy has continued to raise debate and varying opinions as the Committee on Social Welfare in the Chamber of Deputies in Parliament reviews the draft law governing health services here in Rwanda. The Rwanda Mining, Petroleum and Gas Board has released a pamphlet entitled Pitch Book, which highlights areas where mineral resources have been discovered in the country and is calling on capable investors to compete for mining rights. And on the international scene, 2 months after Israel closed all crossings to the Gaza Strip, there are warnings that mass starvation could be imminent. Now straight to the details. Thank you again for taking the time to join us. The issue of surrogacy has continued to stir debate and diverse opinions as the Parliamentary Committee on Social Affairs continues to review the draft law governing health services. Among the most discussed provisions of the draft law on health services is the one concerning surrogacy. It states that people who are unable to conceive naturally may seek a surrogate to carry a pregnancy for them, provided it is done legally. On Friday, it was the turn of stakeholders in the health sector, mainly non-governmental organizations, to present their views. In the room where the Committee on Social Affairs was reviewing the draft law, discussions became heated. Another provision seen as new and controversial here in Rwanda concerns a woman who wishes to have a child without getting married. The questions of where she would obtain the sperm and how her pregnancy would be handled if she had not engaged in sexual intercourse have sparked strong emotions and divergent views between members of parliament and representatives of non-governmental organizations. Another challenge is whether a child born through such a process would have the right to know and identify their father. Among members of parliament, some believe that sperm donation could be allowed provided the donor is identified, while others argue that sperm donation is inappropriate in Rwandan culture and could cause further problems. The draft law on health services is one of the legal projects that concern the health and well-being of the population. In addition to the surrogacy clause, the draft also includes a provision regarding reproductive health services for adolescents. According to the procedures of the Parliament, the contents of the draft law are still provisional and may change at any time until it is passed by the plenary session of the Chamber of Deputies and published in the official gazette. Now to other matters. The Rwanda Mines, Petroleum and Gas Board has launched a new investor guide known as the Pitch Book. The book is highlighting 10 mineral-rich zones across the country. The initiative aims to attract large-scale investors to reform the mining sector for greater output and global competitiveness. William Evans Mutawazi with the details.
The Pitch Book contains exclusive information aimed at large-scale investors interested in investing across various parts of the country. It includes maps and land characteristics, analysis based on moisture, magnetic properties, land density, and unique geological features, particularly in terms of mineral resources and rare minerals. Donat Nsengumremi, the Mining Extractor and Inspection Division Manager, explained the reason behind releasing the Pitch Book and the benefits expected from it. In line with increasing mining productivity, there is a need to have appropriate investment. The Pitch Book is highlighting 10 mineral-rich zones across the country. These 10 sites are investor-ready, and once the right investment is made in there, we expect high productivity in the mining sector. The release of this Pitch Book came at the right time and was much needed by investors, according to Kadyenga Innocent, the president of Rwanda Mining Association. When such sites are reviewed and put on the market, it helps us also as Rwandans to participate in, unlike in the past where individuals would themselves take part in identifying mining sites. None of such individuals did not have enough skills to identify mineral-rich sites. So, the Pitch Book will enable us mine in sites we are sure have minerals which are known and proven to be available too. The government of Rwanda continues to push forward reforms in the mining sector, aiming at increasing mineral exports, as recently emphasized by the Prime Minister, Right Honorable Dr. Edouard Ngirente, while addressing Parliament. Mining is being carried out professionally. Appropriate machinery are now being used and the necessary equipment and skills deployed to ensure the protection of our environment. However, a lot more needs to be done in this area to better streamline this sector. The pitch book features 10 selected areas across the country, offering an opportunity for qualified investors to bid and win licenses to explore and develop these mining sites. All these efforts aim to attract meaningful investment in the mining sector and boost mineral production in Rwanda. William Evans, RwandaTV News.
As part of the 31st commemoration of the genocide against the Tutsi here in Rwanda, members of Unity Club in Rwanda have reaffirmed their commitment as leaders to continue educating the youth on the meaning of carrying the light, unity and resilience of Rwandans and to keep fighting against genocidal ideologies. The event took place at the Nyamata Genocide Memorial in Bugesera district. The message from the chairperson of Unity Club in Rwanda, Her Excellency Jeanette Kagame, was delivered during the event by Marie Solange Kaisire, the club's vice chairperson. She called on Rwandans to draw strength from the painful history of the genocide against the Tutsi, with everyone striving to ensure it never happens again. Unity Club, as an organization that brings together former and current leaders, has committed to the responsibility of fighting those who distort the history of the genocide and is determined to educate younger generations to carry the light of the country. The Nyamata Genocide Memorial in Bugesera is the final resting place of over 45,000 Tutsi who were killed during the genocide. It is one of 4 genocide memorials that have been inscribed on UNESCO's World Heritage List as evidence of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. The President of Rwanda's Senate, Dr. François-Xavier Kalinda, has stated that remembrance is a moment to reflect on the role politicians should play to ensure that genocide never happens again. He made the remarks as senators, members of the Chamber of Deputies, staff of the Parliament, friends and families took part in the 31st commemoration of the genocide against the Tutsi, specifically remembering former staff of what used to be CND. The event took place at the Kigali Genocide Memorial at Gisozi, where they began by paying their respects and laying wreaths at the graves where Tutsi victims are buried. Participants then toured and were guided through the historical content contained in the memorial. The President of Ibuka, Dr. Philbert Gakwenzire, expressed gratitude to the members of Parliament for standing in solidarity with Rwandans during these commemoration activities. The Anti-Genocide Parliamentary Forum also called for the installation of a plaque within Parliament bearing the names of the CND staff members who were killed during the genocide against the Tutsi. Now, the Rwanda Governance Board has called on both local and international non-governmental organizations to promote unity and resilience among Rwandans and to combat genocidal ideologies. This was during a joint activity on the 31st commemoration of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. William Evans Mutabazi with more.
The event began with a visit to the Kigali Genocide Memorial, where participants were given a historical overview of Rwanda before, during and after the genocide against the Tutsi. They laid wreaths at the burial site of over 250,000 victims of the genocide against the Tutsi and paid their respects. Muranja Tewonest, chairperson of Rwanda Civil Society Platform, emphasized that it is time for civil society to play a big role in preventing the genocide from happening anywhere in the world.
I would say that in general, it's a very big shame that people actually participated in the genocide. The role of the civil society is to bring together ordinary citizens so that they participate in their own development, in the well-being of the society at large. So that is the role of the civil society. And I would say that in general that role remains the same. However, because of the genocide, Now that role becomes more urgent because we have to deal with the consequences of the genocide, but also we have to play a big role so that we prevent the genocide from happening anytime, anywhere.
Rwanda Governance Board commended the significant role that non-government organizations play in supporting genocide survivors and preserving the history, as highlighted by Dr. Usengumukiza Felicien, the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of Rwanda Governance Board. This is a good platform and opportunity to remind everyone and teach people, especially those from the foreign countries who do not know about our history, so that as they go on with their different programs and work, they know that the genocide against the Tutsi affected people here, so that they can incorporate this into their different programs. Members of both local and international non-government organizations committed to building a Rwanda free of genocide ideology, with a particular focus on continued collaborations with Rwandans to develop and progress Rwanda. William Evans, RTV News.
Parents and children in the southern province do not agree on the issue of school dropouts. However, the leadership of the southern province, in collaboration with local authorities and schools, has implemented measures to address the problem. In Ruhango district, in rice paddies and at trading centers during school hours in the morning, children are seen returning from collecting grass, while others wander around aimlessly. Beyond rural areas, school dropouts are also found in the urban centers of the district, where some children are seen wandering during class hours, a matter on which parents and children have continued to disagree. At the beginning of the school year, the governor of the southern province announced that in collaboration with local authorities and schools, they have established a daily monitoring system to tackle the issue of school dropouts. The leadership of the southern province has revealed that since the previous year of 2024, that is this previous school year, primary schools had 18,061 dropouts, while secondary schools had 1,101. Since the start of the 2025 school year in the province, through an awareness campaign to return children to school, by March, 16,237 children had returned to primary schools and 400 had been returned to secondary schools. Now over to the eastern province, and the leadership of Nyagatare district has announced that it is intensifying efforts to expand infrastructure in the town of Nyagatare with the aim of attracting investors interested in investing and supporting residents and business operators to grow their activities and find recreational opportunities. In this regard, a recreational park equipped with internet access is set to be built in the town, specifically to provide youth with a space for entertainment and research. The first phase of the National Strategy for Transformation, or NST1, implemented between 2017 and 2024, led to the construction of over 25 kilometers of tarmac roads in Nyagatare. This significantly transformed the image of the town in ways its residents had not anticipated. The construction of the roads, along with earlier infrastructure, inspired both residents and investors to start erecting modern buildings. Multiple-story buildings are increasingly being constructed, along with hotels based on the town's master plan. This transformation has also spurred innovation among business owners who are creating new ventures in response to emerging opportunities. This development will go hand in hand with expanding other infrastructure in the town to attract even more investors. The town of Nyagatare began to see significant settlement after the liberation struggle was concluded and is now home to over 80,000 residents across 67 square kilometers. Among them are more than 20,000 individuals engaged in both small and large-scale businesses.
muyobozi wa sosiyete turakwibutsa ko buri sosiyete isabwa n'itegeko kubika ibitabo bya sosiyete ndetse no gushyikiriza RDB amakuru abikubiyemo. Ibyo bitabo birimo igitabo cy'abanyamigabane, icy'abagenewe inyungu ku migabane, inyandiko y'amakuru ya sosiyete, ibaruramari ngarukamwaka n'izindi. Gutanga amakuru y'ugenewe inyungu ku migabane wanyura kuri bo.rdb.rw, naho gutanga izindi nyandiko ukanyura kuri org.rdb.rw.
Nyiri muto arababwiraga data bati ntabwo agira umukamo mwinshi utunze inka imwe, ariko nigeze acika intege. Mama akinjira mu bucuruzi hari abamubwiraga bati ntabwo watera imbere udakorera mu iduka rigezweho, ariko ntibyamusubije inyuma, yakoranaga umwete. Njya muri kaminuza hari abanshidikanyagaho bavuga ko nashobora kaminuza naturuka mu muryango wifashije, ariko byarangiye nanditse amateka mashya. Igihe cyo gutera ishema umuryango wanjye kigeze, bamwe bakomeje kumbwira bati ntabwo watera umuryango wawe ibyishimo n'ishema, ariko narabishoboye. Hari abakekaga ko nasigira umurage ukomeye abankomokaho, ariko ubu mfite uruganda rutunganya amata. Banki ya Kigali yabaye umufatanyabikorwa wanjye mu rugendo rwose, inzozi zanjye ziba impamo. Bigereho.
Mvangiye kubarira 1 2 3 itugwamo. So 1 2 3 gwamo. One girl.
Kuwa mbere kanda akanyenyeri 3 4 5 akanyenyeri 2 urwego maze nawe ugwemo.
Ndanezero umunezero nsaba umutima, ndakora akazi kanjye ndacatinga, data ntizishira, enda nawe gwamo.
Wikwisondeka.
Welcome back. 2 months after Israel closed all crossings to the Gaza Strip, there are warnings that mass starvation could be imminent. The UN's World Food Programme and the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees recently said that they had used up all their stock piles of food aid. A few dozen remaining food kitchens are now the only source of a daily meal for hundreds of thousands of people. Israel shut all crossings to Gaza on the 2nd of March, preventing all goods, including food, fuel and medicine, from entering, and resumed its military offensive 2 weeks later, ending a 2-month ceasefire with Hamas. It said the steps were meant to put pressure on Hamas to release the hostages it still holds. BBC News with the details.
A hot meal is hard to come by in Gaza, but for needy families in the south, a delivery is on its way. Today's dish is kosheri, made with lentils, rice and a tomato sauce, cooked in a community kitchen by American Near East Refugee Aid. This will feed about 6,000 people. Sami Matar says his team is doing the best it can in desperate circumstances.
In the past, we used to cook rice with meat, with the protein. Now there is no any type of meat or vegetables also entered Gaza. The people rely on our meat.
Israel blocked all goods to Gaza 2 months ago and then resumed its military offensive, saying this was to pressure Hamas into releasing hostages. Food stockpiled during the ceasefire at the start of this year has all but run out.
We used to receive more than 100 trucks every week, and now we don't have anything in our warehouse. There is no food parcel, no flour bags.
Within 2 weeks, Gaza's community kitchens, a last lifeline for so many, will have to shut down.
If the situation will continue with the closure of the crossings, Gaza will face again the risk of starvation.
Al Mawasi is a sprawling tent camp for displaced people. Conditions here are tough and getting tougher. This man's been searching unsuccessfully for bread. Now he can feed his family of 7. Others are also thankful for the handouts.
At this time it's excellent, because there's no cooking gas, no food. I collect leaves to start a fire, just so we can have a cup of tea.
Israel has accused Hamas of stealing aid, but humanitarian workers say they closely monitor their supplies. With rising cases of acute malnutrition among children, there are warnings that starving civilians as a method of warfare is a war crime. For now in Gaza, as the cooking pots are washed up, there's no choice but to live day by day, hoping that tomorrow will finally bring relief.
Voters in Australia will head to the ballot box on Saturday to cast their votes in the country's federal election. Among the critical issues for voters is the high cost of living in that country. Both Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and opposition leader Peter Dutton have been making big spending promises. BBC News once more.
Welcome to the Wild West. Well, not quite. This is Western Sydney, and Australians here are enjoying some Americana. Politics here has been a bit of a wild ride. Every day, candidates trying to control their message, but not always successfully. One thing's clear, though. US politics and Donald Trump have thrown this campaign somewhat off course.
Tariffs are great. It protects... But we should have had tariff protections many years ago. It looks bad now because they're used to a system where you sell off assets overseas. Trump's the best thing ever America.
It's going nuts.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just sitting back and watching.
It's a bit like a show. Like I'm just watching. It's quite interesting to watch. I mean, it's entertaining.
It probably affects me more than I realise, but I just choose to ignore it.
Labour Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and rival Peter Dutton have repeatedly had to answer questions on Trump. Not everyone, though, satisfied with the answers. Which is why independent candidates and smaller parties are doing well. Voters fed up with traditional politics.
Since Trump has come in, we've seen a huge shift in the global geopolitical order. And Australia's in this position where the US is a close ally and has been for 80 years, but China is our major trading partner. So we have to balance these interests very carefully.
Canvassers are eager to sway any voters who are still undecided.
It's like our overall economy. And also defence.
Energy policy and cost of living.
I care a lot about climate change and also queer rights. A lot of the world is turning very conservative, I guess. That's very scary to me.
And global politics is increasingly hard to ignore when it comes to casting a vote.
Initially, the focus was on the cost of eggs, the cost of living in general, the cost of energy. But there are some things that are more important than the cost of eggs, and so democracy itself.
Canada is a good example. Its Liberal Party was unelectable 6 months ago, but their elections this week were totally transformed by Donald Trump.
People here haven't been affected as much by Trump's policies, but what we saw earlier this week in Canada, this leaning towards incumbents, the familiar in an uncertain world, well, polls predict that scenario will play out here too.
Australia prides itself on mateship. Staying on side with its friends matters. There may not be much of a team spirit among allies right now, but voters here will be keen to see how their next leader rides out this unpredictability.
Now, before we conclude this edition of the News in English, let us again take a look at the headlines. The issue of surrogacy has continued to raise debate and varying opinions as the Committee on Social Welfare in the Chamber of Deputies here in Rwanda reviews the draft law governing health services in the country. The Rwanda Mining, Petroleum and Gas Board has released a pamphlet entitled Pitch Book, which highlights areas where mineral resources have been discovered in the country and is calling on capable investors to compete for mining rights. And 2 months after Israel closed all crossings to the Gaza Strip, there are warnings that mass starvation could be imminent. I hope you had a great week and that you'll have an even better weekend. I'll be seeing you soon again. Goodbye.